This show is special in the fact that it has so much heart and great script writing, followed by these huge, energetic dance numbers. So there is truly something for everyone, whether you want a feast for the eyes or you really want to focus in on the script and listen to the story. It's both audience perspectives are there, and it's really, really cool. My name is Daniel Stewart Nelson. I'm a resident company member here at Playhouse on the Square. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am the director and choreographer for the Prom. I am so excited for this show. I've actually been excited for this show for about 4 or 5 years now. I've been following the Prom before it went to Broadway, when it was first announced as like an out-of-town tryout. I was just really drawn to the story itself because obviously being a part of the LGBTQ community, I was so just kind of brought into that world of, wow, in hindsight, it would have been amazing if I could have gone to prom with a guy, So when I read this story and I heard about what the show was about, I was like, holy cow, if I could be a small part of telling this story, that would be insanely cool. So a couple things stood out about this show. A, the story has so much heart. B, it is hilarious. And C, just me personally, all of that combined with it's a huge dance show, which is like my favorite thing in the world. So when you can combine like all this dance energy with an incredible script and great heart in a story, it just makes for an incredible musical. And for us to be able to do it in Memphis and bring it here regionally for the first time, because this didn't even go to the Orpheum, like this is the first time we're having this show here in Memphis, is so spectacular, and I feel very honored to be the first person to be at the charge of it. So when we started our production meetings, our line designer, Trey Eichelberry, he is so incredible. I told him, I was like, I really want to focus on when the Broadway stars enter into this rural town in Indiana, that we go from this sort of palette of, no bright colors, no lack of energy, lack of heart, and when these Broadway stars come in, we are just transformed into this musical sort of world, right? That takes the people of Indiana off guard, right? So that was my first direction to him, lighting-wise, and he has just taken that and ran with it. It's what he has planned is going to be so cool. And then Adam Spencer, who's our scenic designer, we met, and big thing with me is levels. I want lots to look at, lots to play, and I like a big set because I always promise, like, I know it's a lot of work, but I will use every square inch of that set, I promise. So he's given us a lot to play with. We've got one scenic element that I'm not gonna spoil, but I'm very excited about it. And then, of course, we have Phil Hewen, who is our technical director, who takes all my wild ideas and everything I want and says, okay, here's what we can realistically do, but he always will try his best to make my dreams come true. He's the best at that, he really is. I'll tell you what my favorite part of the show is, and it's gonna be unexpected, it's honestly leading into the Act 1 finale. There's a scene where Barry is in Emma's bedroom helping her pick out dresses, and it's the first time where we really get to see both characters kind of strip away everything and be so vulnerable with one another and have such a fun time picking out a dress, and just kind of like those things that Emma doesn't have anyone to do with. You see that, and then you see Barry strip away this sort of narcissist person for a second and be real with someone for the first time in the show, and it's just a beautiful little connection there, especially because Emma doesn't have a family or a father figure really, so to have someone like Barry in her life to help her do these things is really special. We did that, we actually just blocked and choreographed that number last night, and me and Pete, who's my assistant director, Pete Montgomery, incredible. We were both just like, this might be my new favorite scene, and it was so unexpected because it's just like a minute and a half long and it gets us into the finale, but it was just so special and it really has a lot of heart. For sure. I personally relate to both Barry and Trent. It's interesting because Jonathan Christian is playing Barry and Cleavon Maybon IV is playing Trent, and they're both bringing such interesting choices in the best way to these characters that when I was reading I would have never made, and that's not a bad thing. They have kind of just like opened my eyes to what these characters could be in a whole different way, which I think is so beautiful about acting in general, is when you cast someone and you bring them into this space, their choices kind of define this new way this character is going to be. I really relate to both of them because they're just gay men in theater who are wanting to make a difference and be, pillars for their community. Do they hit some bumps along the way? Yes. Don't we all though, right? But I really relate to both those characters. Love is love means everything to me. I'm gonna try and get not too emotional, but it's just, we live in an age where it's like, let people be who they want to be and love who they want, you know? Like, I just don't understand why that can't just be so universally accepted, you know? So I think this story in particular really drives home that message in a really, really special way. One big thing that I hope audience members take away is a message of acceptance. And I really want to drive it home: acceptance, not tolerance, acceptance, right? That's a big thing for me that I hope that really people will resonate with everyone when they leave. And I think generationally, I think this is going to be a story of hope for younger people who maybe aren't out yet or haven't seen themselves on stage before. And I think for the older generations, it's going to be a little eye-opening too, well, even for me wanting to go, I wish I could have gone to prom with a guy. So like even people who are out now and are older looking at this show going, wow, I was, even just by existing and being out and proud, I was a small part of this generational shift to this much acceptance. You know, that's huge. I mean, we've come so far already and we have a lot farther to go. But just even from 10, 15, 20 years ago, we've made leaps and bounds when it comes to just accepting that people love who they want to love, and that's okay. I will say that what's special about this cast is there is a lot of young people in this cast. Like, the next generation of these theater professionals you are seeing on the stage right now for the first time, and they are bringing such an incredible energy to this show. They come in ready to work, ready to run. They're hungry for the work, right? And so I'm throwing everything in the kitchen sink at them. Like, the choreography is so hard and so fast, and they are just picking it up so quick, on top of also just singing their faces off. They're just true professionals at this age, and I'm so impressed, so impressed.